Chapter 31 The Seeker of Revenge is here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a quick pause to remember, Yang Ling helped around the house for a bit after they finished chatting, then decided to head back to the hospital for the night. He wasn't avoiding home, but he was worried about Tianzhuiyan coming after him and scaring his folks. He knew it was a ticking time bomb, just waiting to go off. His parents completely trusted him now. Even as he left, they didn't bring up the 100 grand, and he didn't mention his plans either. Walking down the sidewalk under the night sky, he started thinking about what he'd gained lately, 5 wish points. He was getting closer to his next goal, plus, he'd gotten some attribute boosts. Without thinking twice, he put a point into strength and 2 into agility. His current stats were, strength, 14. Agility, 19. Stamina, 11. Charm, n/a. Wish value, 5/10. Skills, Tai Chi, proficient, throwing, proficient, injury recovery, proficient, cooking, proficient, unforgettable memory, deduction, proficient. He'd only had the system for 2 days, and he was already pretty happy with his progress. As he walked, lost in thought, a black car screeched to a halt beside him. About a dozen guys piled out, looking like a bunch of thugs. The apparent leader, a bald dude, sneered, Yang Ling. That this bald guy had a black snake tattoo on his arm and looked like a real tough customer. Yang Ling seemed to recognize him, a local hoodlum known as Black Snake. It was past 11, the street was deserted, and this was a pretty isolated spot. They'd called him out by name. This wasn't going to be good, Yang Ling said calmly. Yeah, that's me. What's up? Black Snake and his crew looked surprised for a second. Then Black Snake chuckled. Not bad, kid. You've got guts. No point hiding it. We're here on a job. Someone wants you taken care of. Someone? Yang Ling said. Tianzhuiyan sent you, didn't he? Black Snake smirked. You know what you did. Then he told the guy next to him, film it. We'll get paid extra for this. Another goon pulled out his phone, looking like he'd done this before. Black Snake saw Yang Ling's expression, like he didn't even see them as a threat, and scowled. You look like you need a beating, kid. No wonder Tianzhuiyan wants you gone. He wanted me to give you an offer. You do a few things, we let you walk. But I'm adding something extra, Yang Ling said. Oh. What's the catch? Black Snake was getting angrier by the second. Most people would be shaking in their boots right now, but this kid was just standing there, cool as a cucumber. He wanted to smash him right then and there, but a job was a job. He grinned. First, you slap yourself around and knock out 10 teeth. Second, we break your leg with a baseball bat. Third, you get on your knees, call me Grandpa, and beg Master Tian for forgiveness. Promise to be his dog from now on. Do all that, and we'll just break your other leg and let you live. Chapter 32 Is this still a person? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Yang Ling just staring at him, the head thug, Black Snake, spat, because of your attitude, I'm adding another condition. Strip down, give the old guys a show, and maybe you'll live. Say one word out of line, and we'll break every bone in your body. You'll wish you were dead, Yang Ling smirked. Oh, yeah. Why don't you try it and see who's tougher? Punk, you're asking for it, Black Snake roared. Get him. He barely got the words out when he felt a gust of wind was past his ear. Then, pain exploded in his forehead, and his vision blurred. He glanced down and saw a coin rolling at his feet. In a flash, Yang Ling's fist connected with his face. Bam! With a sickening thud, Black Snake went down hard, blood gushing from his nose, unable to even scream. One down. Yang Ling dodged a swing from a pipe like he was dodging raindrops, and another coin flew, *ding. Throwing mastery skill activated, the system chimed as another thug crumpled to the ground, clutching himself and screaming. Now Yang Ling was surrounded. This crew had a reputation for being ruthless, and they were living up to it, swinging for the fences with every strike. A Sonda champion would have trouble against this many armed maniacs, but Yang Ling wasn't just anyone, *ding. Tai Chi proficiency activated, Yang Ling's movements flowed, his palms pushing, then transforming into fists. His Tai Chi form was a whirlwind of precise, devastating strikes. With an agility score of 19, the machetes couldn't touch him, and his strength, at 14, was way beyond normal. Getting hit by him was like being smashed with a sledgehammer, bones shattered on impact. Black Snake, still half-conscious on the ground, watched in horror as Yang Ling single-handedly took down a dozen men, practically with one punch each. And his crew couldn't even land a hit. Was this guy some kind of superhero? He wanted to pass out, but one look at Yang Ling's cold eyes made the hair on his neck stand up. He didn't even have the guts to black out. In 10 minutes, everyone was down except Yang Ling. Taking a deep breath, Yang Ling planted his foot on Black Snake's face and said coldly, "What was that about breaking my bones?" "Huh," that he pressed down harder, and Black Snake howled in pain. "Please, man. We didn't know who you were. Have mercy, let me go." "Let you go?" Yang Ling sneered. "You guys came at me with pipes and machetes. Did you think about letting me go?" "Ha." He punctuated the question with a stomp, crushing Black Snake's arm. "Arg." After the agonizing scream, Black Snake sobbed, "Spare me, please. I'll give you money. I'll give you anything." Just then, one of the remaining thugs scrambled to his feet, whimpering, and took off running. Running. Yang Ling kicked the discarded pipe. *Ding. Throwing proficiency activated, the pipe seemed to have a mind of its own, flying straight for the fleeing thug and slamming into his leg. He went down with a sickening thud, screaming and clutching his leg. The unnatural angle told the whole story. Chapter 33, Gaining Game Mastery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking back, Yang Ling smirked at the Black Snake writhing at his feet. Not feeling so tough now, he addressed the goons. "Alright, here's the deal. Strip down to your birthday suits, pronto." "What?" The thugs were stunned, but Yang Ling's expression made it clear he wasn't kidding. Despite the throbbing pain, the lead goon started undressing. What followed was a real spectacle. The whole crew was soon standing there, stark naked. Yang Ling wasted no time whipping out their own camera and snapping photos, sending them straight to his phone. "Finished," Yang Ling sneered, "try pulling this crap again. Next time, it won't be just a broken arm." "Get lost." The gangsters, feeling like they'd been pardoned, scrambled for their clothes. Not even daring to drive, they hobbled away. Watching them go, Yang Ling's face was terrifyingly calm. Ding. You crushed the gangster's wish to teach you a lesson. Attribute point +1. You crushed Tianzhuiyan's wish for revenge. Attribute point +1. Yang Ling immediately dumped 1 point into strength and another into agility. He was about to leave when the system chimed in again. Ding. You've reached 20 points in an attribute. Bonus time. Want to roll for it now? Yang Ling's face lit up. System, what kind of bonus are we talking about? Ding. When an attribute reaches a milestone, 20, 30, 40, etc., you get a bonus. The reward could be a new skill, a wish point, or even another attribute point. It's all about luck. Yang Ling nodded. Alright, let's do it. Ding. Initiating reward extraction. Please wait. Gotta be a skill, gotta be a skill. Yang Ling prayed, as if hearing his plea. The system's sweet voice announced, Ding. You have acquired the skill, Game Mastery. Seriously? Game Mastery? You want me to be a pro at League of Legends or something? Yang Ling's jaw dropped. He'd pulled a skill, alright, but one that seemed totally useless. Well, better than a single wish point, I guess. Trying to stay positive, he forced a smile, then his face turned grim. Tianzhuiyan. A cold sneer played on Yang Ling's lips as he headed in the opposite direction of the hospital. Repulse Bay Villas, a haven for the mega-rich in S-City. The villas were home to some serious power players. Naturally, security was top-notch, cameras everywhere, guards patrolling around the clock, and dense infrared sensors. A gust of wind rustled through the trees, and the security guard on duty thought he heard something. He scanned the area but saw nothing out of the ordinary, so he went back to nodding off. In front of a massive, isolated villa, Ling stopped at the gate, took a deep breath, and kicked it. Boom! That the expensive gate shuddered with the force of the blow. After a few more kicks, it crashed to the ground. The noise jolted Tian Zhuyan's family awake. The bodyguard sleeping in the living room reacted instantly and charged towards the sound, only to be met with a hail of coins and Ling's iron fist. Chapter 34 Revenge is not overnight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Remember for a sec, the two bodyguards were out cold from the punches and kicks. Tian Meiji and his wife rushed out to see what was happening and were shocked to see the kid standing on the first floor. He knew who Ling was. He'd been the one to send the black snakes after him to avenge his son. How could he not recognize him? Ling stood in the living room, head up, staring at Tian Meiji with a hint of murder in his eyes. Tian Meiji's heart sank. He knew he was in for it. Boss Tian, Ling said coldly, holding up a camera, everything's ready. Why don't you come on down and we can talk? Tian Meiji had been through thick and thin in the business world for decades. He'd seen it all. He stayed calm. He whispered to his wife, take our son and go out the back. But before they could finish, a coin flashed past their ears, smashing a crystal lamp behind them. Ling smiled. Auntie, I came all this way. You're leaving now. That's not very hospitable, is it? Tian's wife was a socialite. She wasn't used to threats. Her legs turned to jelly. Just then, the security guards from the estate showed up, having heard the commotion. The head of security looked at the scene, surprised. Mr. Tian, what's going on? Tian Meiji perked up, but then he saw the camera Ling was holding. He knew the kid must have something on him, so he held back. He said, his voice a little shaky, Captain Liu, it's just a friend's kid messing around. It's nothing. You can go. The security captain wasn't an idiot. Something was up, but everyone who lived here had secrets. Since Mr. Tian wanted to keep it quiet, he wasn't going to get involved. He glanced at Ling, nodded, and said, okay, you guys talk it out. He led the guards out, leaving the door ajar. Ling chuckled and said, Mr. Tian, have you thought about it? What about Tian Zhuyan? Aren't you going to let your little cripple come down and say hi? He was done playing nice. Tian Meiji's face darkened. He knew he was in a bad spot. The kid had taken out his bodyguards like it was nothing. More importantly, he had the tape he'd given to Black Snake. Bottom line, this was hiring a hitman, and it was ugly. If the media got hold of it, his company would take a major hit, and he could even end up in jail. He sighed and said, bring Yenner out. I think this young man is reasonable and won't cause trouble. Ling laughed. Looks like you figured it out, Mr. Tian. But you're wrong about one thing. I'm not reasonable. I'm Ling, and I always get my revenge. Tian Meiji was fine, but his wife went limp and sank to the floor. A few minutes later, Ling was lounging on the sofa while Tian Meiji and his family sat across from him. Tian Zhuyan was shaking as he looked at Ling. He couldn't believe that this nobody had put him in this position, that even his powerful father couldn't fix it. He was terrified. He was afraid that Ling would lose it and beat him half to death. After all, Ling had him by the balls now. Even if he attacked him right here, his father would swallow his pride for the sake of the company. Chapter 35 The murderers are killing all the time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silence hung in the air, thick and heavy. Tian Meiji watched Ling, sitting across from him, his frown deepening. He knew the game. Whoever spoke first in a negotiation like this lost their leverage. He'd expected the kid to jump at the chance to talk, thinking he held all the cards, but this guy was so calm, not at all the jittery teenager he'd imagined. Sighing inwardly, Tian Meiji finally broke the silence. Alright, what do you want? Ding. You foiled Tian Meiji's attempt to gain a negotiation advantage. A tribute point +1 star. Ling smirked, but his voice was steady. So, I hear from Black Snake that your son wanted me to do something, and if I satisfied you, you'd only break my leg. Is that right? Tianjuan's heart skipped a beat. A wave of dread washed over him. Yang Ling continued, his tone even. I'm a fair guy. Whatever you ask me to do, I'm gonna return the favor. You can always refuse, and I won't break any bones, but tomorrow's headlines will scream, Rich Kid Feud turns violent, Chairman's son hires thugs. You get my drift, that the thing Tianjuan had asked Yang Ling to do was terrifying. Now that the tables were turned, he was paralyzed with fear, his eyes darting to his father for help. Tian Meiji shot his son a look of disappointment. Next to the young man in front of him, his own kid looked like a total loser. After a moment's hesitation, he said, Look, kid, let's be straight. I'm willing to pay to make this go away. Name your price. Yang Ling scoffed. Was I talking to you? I'm talking to Tianjuan right now. Tian Mingji snapped, Yang Ling, don't push it. We're not pushovers. Fine, Yang Ling sneered. If you don't want to talk, then see ya. He started to get up, and Tian Meiji panicked, knowing this could blow up in their faces if Yang Ling walked. He blurted, Wait. I know what he was going to offer. I'll pay 60 grand. How's that? Yang Ling smiled faintly. 60 grand is chump change to the Tian family. You think I'm an idiot? Hearing this, Tian Meiji brightened. He could always offer more. At least they were talking, he said seriously, how much do you want? Just tell me. Yang Ling looked at the shrewd businessman and laughed. Mr. Tian, you've got the wrong idea. I am talking money here, just not for this. Seeing the man's confused expression, Yang Ling said calmly, I once heard a saying, what goes around, comes around. If you dish it out, you better be ready to take it. Your son needs to learn some manners. A little taste of reality wouldn't hurt. Whoa. The Tian family collectively gasped. Yang Ling's intention was clear, to return the favor, exact to exact. Thinking of what that involved, Tianjuan slumped onto the sofa, shaking like a leaf, *ding. You've shattered Tian Meiji's wish to buy his way out. Attribute point +1 star, Tian Meiji clenched his fists, but when he met Yang Ling's cold gaze, he looked away. In the young man's eyes, he saw contempt, as if he, a wealthy man, was no better than an ant. What kind of person looks at the world like that? Chapter 36 I Can't Be Ruthless Than You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This shopping mall tough guy looked genuinely scared. A businessman is a businessman, and even a rich one is still just a businessman. He was out of his depth in this dangerous situation. Seeing the family's shock, Yang Ling sneered, what's the hold up? You want to be on the evening news? I'm counting down. Better make up your mind. 2. 1. Wait. Tian Meiji seemed to snap out of it. Without a word, he smacked his son across the face, sending teeth flying. Yang Ling, slightly surprised, sat back on the sofa to enjoy the show. Smack. Smack. Smack, the slaps echoed. Tian Meiji, ignoring his wife's cries and his son's screams, laid into him like he was taking out his frustrations. Soon, Tianjuan's cheeks were swollen like balloons, and his whimpers faded. Yang Ling glanced at the scattered teeth in Tianjuan's puffy face, then nodded. Mr. Tian, you're really willing to sacrifice for the company. You're one cold dude. He stood up, walked to the still unconscious bodyguard, picked up a collapsed baton, and tossed it in front of Tian Meiji. Okay, let's move on to thing number 2. No. Zhang Chuanxia grabbed her husband's leg, sobbing. No, he can't take any more. Please. Tian Meiji shoved her away and snapped at Yang Ling, I'm not as heartless as you. He picked up the baton, ready to break his son's leg. Ah. Zhang Chuanxia screamed. Just as the baton was about to come down, a flash of silver caught her eye. A coin landed precisely under Tian Meiji's stick. His hand jolted in pain, and the baton fell to the ground. Yang Ling, flipping another coin, chuckled. I was just kidding. Why so serious, Mr. Tian? Forget it. Master Tian and I are practically old friends. No need to break his legs. I wouldn't want to put him through that. Just a little something for emotional distress, and we'll call it even. Looking at Tian Zhuiyan's bloody face, Yang Ling added, but I expect him to behave himself. If he tries to get revenge, it won't be as simple as a broken leg. Everyone in the room visibly relaxed. Zhang Chuanxia collapsed, cradling her unconscious son and weeping. Ding! You have fulfilled Tian Meiji and Zhang Chuanxia's wish for their son to not have his leg broken. Wish value +1. Current progress, June 10th. Tian Meiji sank back onto the sofa, a bitter smile on his face. Bro, you're messing with me. Why didn't you say so earlier? You just let me smack all his teeth out. What kind of joke is that? People can be real jerks sometimes. He didn't know why Yang Ling had stopped him at the last second, but he was relieved his son's leg was saved. It felt wrong to thank the guy who put him in this position. Taking a deep breath, Tian Meiji forced himself to calm down. Yang Ling, how much money do you want? I'll wire it to you. Yang Ling's face darkened. Mr. Tian, the bank flags transfers over $1 million. You trying to get the fraud unit on my tail? So, even now, you're trying to play me. I underestimated you. Chapter 37 Getting a huge sum of money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tian Meiji was caught off guard. He never expected Yang Ling to be so perceptive at his age. But Yang Ling's deduction skills were on point. He'd activated them, scrutinizing every word Tian Meiji uttered to figure out his angle. Ding, you've thwarted Tian Meiji's attempt to manipulate you, attribute point +1. Yang Ling's cool control and long-game thinking kept Tian Meiji from trying any tricks. He sighed. Look, kid, here's the deal. I can scrape together $1 million in cash right now. It's yours. Call it compensation for your distress. But I need that camera back. Can we call it even? Yang Ling smirked. Mr. Tian, you're a straight shooter. I was thinking more like, over $1 million. But if it was, say, 900,000, it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? Tian Meiji grimaced and nodded. All right, $1 million cash, plus the 900 grand transfer. I'll get it to you now. He told Zhang Chuanxia, who was standing nearby, go get all the money from the house. Zhang Chuanxia nodded, gave Yang Ling a loaded look, perked up, and headed upstairs. Simultaneously, Tian Meiji asked for Yang Ling's bank details and wired him 990,000. Yang Ling was a little surprised at how easily the guy coughed up the dough. Maybe he should have asked for more. But honestly, coming to the Tian house, stirring things up, had released a lot of pent-up anger. Taking the money, and making the guy sweat, had been the goal. Now, a clean getaway seemed smart. Soon, Zhang Chuanxia returned with 2 suitcases. Yang Ling opened them, nodded in satisfaction, tossed the camera to Tian Meiji, and grinned. Mr. Tian, you're taking a bath on this deal, huh? I hope that's all. Tian Meiji started to reply, but Yang Ling cut him off. Save it. Just a word of advice, don't make me your enemy. You won't like the consequences. Tian Meiji shook his head and then said, dead serious, I wish you were my son. Yang Ling blinked. He glanced at him, said nothing, and melted back into the night. Back inside, Tian Meiji immediately fired up the camera. After watching the footage, he smiled. There wasn't any incriminating evidence, but there were some compromising photos of the Black Snake gang. It was confusing. How could Black Snake, a player in his world, be so careless? He walked to the window, staring in the direction Yang Ling had gone. He was filled with hate and fear. After a moment, something seemed to click, and a gleam appeared in his eye. Ding, you have fulfilled Tian Meiji's wish to take a picture. The wish value is +1, and the current progress 2 out of 10. Back at the hospital, Yang Ling was feeling pretty good. He stashed the 2 suitcases, holding a cool million, under his bed. He sprawled out on the mattress. Besides the 1.9 million, he'd also snagged 2 wish points and 2 attribute points. After a brief debate, Yang Ling dumped the attribute points into his stamina. His stats now: strength, 14. Agility, 20. Stamina, 11. Charm, 7. Wish value, 2 out of 10. The run-in with the black snakes, while handled, had left Yang Ling feeling drained. High agility and strength were great, but truly maximizing those required some physical endurance. Chapter 38 Rent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Remember this, even a ferocious tiger can be overwhelmed by a pack of wolves, especially if it's not in top shape. Numbers can be a real problem. Yang Ling's got this deduction skill now, which helps him see things coming. He's made an enemy of the Tian family. Tian Meiji might seem harmless now, but the fact that he hired some thugs to get back at Yang Ling for his son shows he's the type to hold a grudge. He'll probably try to retaliate someday, and next time it won't be just some 2-bit criminals. Yang Ling isn't scared, but he's not gonna be caught off guard. He needs to get stronger, especially so a swarm of people can't take him down. A surge of warmth flowed through his body, and Yang Ling could feel his breathing getting deeper. He smiled to himself, closed his eyes, and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, he left the hospital early with the cash box and deposited the million in cash into different banks. It was afternoon by the time he was done. Looking at the almost 4 million in his account, Yang Ling was ecstatic. He was officially loaded. While wandering around the park, he picked up 2 wishing points and ability points from some animals. His wishing gauge was almost full at 9 out of 10, and his strength had climbed to 15. This was way too easy. After a moment of hesitation, he decided to skip the bookstore and headed toward a real estate agency instead. He'd been living in the patrol dormitory to be close to work, but now that he had money, it was time for an upgrade. He wasn't planning on buying anything yet. 4 million could get him a decent place in S-City, but it would wipe out his savings. Easy come, easy go, as they say, plus, it would be a pain to explain to his parents. He'd start with renting, then buy something after he had a steady income. At the agency, Yang Ling walked up to the counter and asked politely, "Excuse me, I'm looking to rent a place. Do you have anything available?" This was a pretty upscale agency, and there weren't many customers. The woman at the front desk looked him up and down. Yang Ling was good-looking, sure, but he was dressed plainly. He didn't exactly scream rich. She glanced at the door, noticing he didn't even have a car. With a sniff, she tossed him a real estate catalog and said, "Knock yourself out." Yang Ling didn't take it personally. He just smiled slightly and started flipping through the pages. With his photographic memory, he quickly scanned the listings and spotted something interesting: a 1-bedroom apartment in Tianxin Garden, fully furnished and 101 square meters, was available for rent. It was going for 5,500 yuan a month, but required 6 months rent up front. Tianxin Garden was a new complex in a decent location. More importantly, it was super close to Donghua University. That was the school he'd applied to, and he was pretty sure this place would be perfect. He was about to inquire about it when a sports car engine roared outside. Mercedes-Benz pulled up, and a young, stylishly dressed couple got out, looking like they were here to find a place. The receptionist, forgetting all about playing on her phone, rushed over to greet them, saying, "Welcome. How can I help you?" It was a far cry from how she treated Yang Ling. Chapter 39 I give 500,000. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guided by the waitress, the two strutted inside, drawing stares from everyone. As they approached, the young guy in sunglasses shoved Yang Ling aside and said, "Got any places near Donghua University? I want the best apartment you've got. I'm moving in." The waitress snatched the rental book from Yang Ling. After flipping through it, she said, "We've got 1 school district apartment still available." "Lucky you." "Oh." The sunglasses guy said, perking up. "I'll take it. Money's no object. Get someone to show me the place." Yang Ling frowned. "Sorry, but I was looking at that one." "Huh?" Everyone paused, surprised. The woman with the sunglasses guy glanced at Yang Ling, a sneer on her face. The man himself just looked disgusted. You. Renting in the school district? Get real. Go find a dump to crash in. Loser. The waitress chimed in, sir, while you were here first, school district rent is pretty steep. It might not be the best fit. I can help you find something more suitable. Oh. Yang Ling ignored her. He looked at the sunglasses guy and said coolly, what was that you said? I didn't quite catch it. The man stared at Yang Ling. I said you're a loser. What do you think about that? And? Yang Ling chuckled. Even Tian Meiji wouldn't talk to me like that, but you've got the guts. Whoa. Everyone was shocked. Tian Meiji. That's one of the wealthiest people in S City. The sunglasses guy blanched. He was rich, sure, but nothing compared to Tian Meiji. He suddenly wasn't so sure where Yang Ling was coming from, and his swagger evaporated. Yang Ling smirked. He looked at the waitress. The rent's 5,500, right? I'll give you 10,000. I want the place. The waitress gaped, staring at Yang Ling. Others might not know, but she knew this agency was owned by the Tian family. If Yang Ling was connected to Tian Meiji, she'd be fired on the spot. Looking between Yang Ling and the sunglasses guy, she froze, unsure what to do. The sunglasses guy glared at Yang Ling. This guy was trying to make him look bad, and he had his girlfriend right here. He was stuck. He snarled, don't try to bluff me, kid. I'll pay 20,000. Yang Ling's face hardened. He held up 5 fingers. I'll give you 500,000. What? Everyone gasped. 500,000. This wasn't about renting anymore, this was about buying the place. The sunglasses guy turned ashen. He was just your average rich kid, he couldn't compete with someone like Tian Zhuyan. Hearing Yang Ling's insane offer, he just deflated. Seeing that, Yang Ling sneered, weren't you all tough a minute ago? Here's the deal, apologize to me, then take your girl and get out of here, and I'll pretend this never happened. Otherwise, that 500,000 is going to your hospital bills. Chapter 40, Come here, what else to go? You are listening at novelfull.audio. That's a straight-up threat. The man in sunglasses sputtered, his face reddening. The woman beside him glanced at Yang Ling with a hint of fear, then, as if a light bulb went off in his head, he guffawed, you just say you have 500,000? Prove it. Put your money where your mouth is. He seemed to be talking himself into it, and he declared, if you've really got 500 grand, I'll not only apologize, I'll get down on my knees and beg for forgiveness. The onlookers, including the waitress, suddenly perked up, casting doubtful glances at Yang Ling. The waitress chimed in, sir, this is a tea house, not some place for tall tales. Please don't disrupt our business. Yang Ling shot her a look, then smirked at the man in sunglasses. Kneel down and beg, huh? Those are your words. He reached into his pocket. When he pulled out his phone, a hush fell over the crowd. A smartphone wasn't cheap, so maybe this kid actually had the cash. Sure enough, Yang Ling displayed his bank balance on the screen. A cool 90,000. A collective gasp filled the air, followed by stunned silence. The waitress's face flushed crimson, then paled. The man in sunglasses was speechless. His face turned a shade of purple that resembled liver. Remembering what he'd just said, he wished the floor would swallow him whole. After the initial shock, the woman next to him looked at Yang Ling with newfound interest. If Yang Ling didn't have such an intimidating vibe, she might have tried to get closer. *ding. You have satisfied the crowd's desire for a good show. Wish value +1. Current progress, October 10th. You can now make a wish, ****. You have crushed the desire of the man in sunglasses and the waitress to mock you. Attribute point +1, Yang Ling pocketed his phone, looked at the man with the purple face, and said flatly, kneel down and beg. You said it yourself. Let's get this show on the road. The man in sunglasses turned red, then white, then blue. With everyone watching, he couldn't just leave, but he couldn't bring himself to kneel. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Just then, a group of people walked in, led by a beautiful woman and a phalanx of bodyguards in black suits. The waitress scurried over, greeting, "Hello, Ms. Zhang." The woman nodded. "I'd like to list my Repulse Bay villa." "Oh," she stopped mid-sentence when she spotted Yang Ling across the room, exclaiming, "Yang Ling. What are you doing here?" Yang Ling smiled faintly. "Ms. Zhang, last I checked, businesses are for customers, right?" The woman was Zhang Chuanxia, the one Yang Ling had scared half to death the night before. Zhang Chuanxia snapped out of it and turned to leave, her bodyguards following suit. But then Yang Ling's voice drifted from behind her. "Since you're already here, why the sudden rush?" Zhang Chuanxia froze. She didn't dare move, asking in a shaky voice, "Do you, need something else?" Everyone's jaw dropped at the woman's reaction, who was Zhang Chuanxia. She was Tian Meiji's wife, the vice chairwoman of the Tian Group. She'd been on TV countless times. Everyone in S City knew who she was, but here she was, a celebrity, acting like she knew Yang Ling, and like they were close. Even more surprising, she seemed scared of him. Everyone stared at Yang Ling, wondering what kind of person this ordinary-looking guy was.